Most people don't get to see this side of it, and they also don't get to meet the people like you that are behind the scenes. So tell us about yourself. This has been, you're in the family for 50 years?
For about 50, well, in the family for about 40 years. My father's been working at the company for 55 years.
So tell us that whole story.
He was in college and he started working in the double enrolling department here. A couple warehouses ago, actually. It wasn't in this warehouse.
Okay.
There were only, I think, 12 employees at that time.
And how many are there now-ish?
There's 75 employees,
Wow.
and then we have 25 outside independent sales reps as well.
Wow, okay. So we went from a 12-employee company to a 100-employee company. How'd that go down?
He started working in double enrolling and then sort of worked his way up throughout the warehouse and then into sales. And then actually the year that the previous owner actually got sick, and so my dad took over things in the meantime, and then the year that I was born, he actually purchased the company.
22 years ago.
So, yes, only 22 years ago. So I think that he, you know, of course learned from everybody that was there, but then started to make changes. And that was during a different time in the fabric industry where it wasn't about quilting. It was all about apparel. Sewing. There were department stores that carried, that all had fabric departments. You know, he sort of rode the waves through all of the changes in the fabric industry, from like double knits to all to kind of moving into quilting when he saw that that was really starting to rise.
He obviously was smart in the way that he transitioned from one thing to the next, because, I mean, look at where you guys are today. Did you always want to be part of EE Schenck, part of Maywood? Did you always?
I don't know. I mean, I always knew that it was an option and something that I enjoyed being a part of, but I didn't know if that was necessarily going to be my path.
Okay.
But I, you know, grew up working in the warehouse for summers. I did filing for summers in the office. When I got out of college, I actually lived in New York City for 10 years and worked in the fashion industry there.
I heard you did like bags and things.
I did,
right?
yes,
bags
I did.
And boots or something like that?
And during that time, my dad and I had conversations about what it would look like if I came back to Portland and worked for Schenck, and then finally decided to make it happen.
So did he ask you to come to Schenck?
Never.
Never.
Never asked me.
He just made it an option.
It just was something that was, I knew was always
he didn't beg
an
you to
option.
Come.
Never would he ever.
If you feel like, what was the hardest part about from the time that you started to today? Like, what are some of the things in the industry that you had to learn?
All of warehouse management was something that was so new to me.
Sure.
That was on the harder side. Just because it was so new. The sales part of it I really had down. I think a lot of just the ins and outs. Fabric is such a unique industry.
Yeah.
And there's words that are used in our industry that are not used outside of working in yards.
Have bags on the bias when you're selling Louis Vuitton or whatever the brand was that you were selling. Okay.
Right. And just, like put up. What does put up mean? There's just a lot of intricacies to fabric that I didn't know. So that probably, and then there's the people management.
The business side of it too. You and I were in the same boat. When we started Sew Yeah, we didn't know anything about the industry. And, you had to learn what a fat quarter was, and then, everything from there. So.